Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of the MFFL Nation Show. I'm your host, Mason, and today I have on a special guest, Mavericks Digest, a.k.a. Marcel. How's it going, my man?
Hey, I appreciate you bringing me on for the first episode of the season. I'm excited, bro. I'm so excited. There's so much going on with the team finally that's actually positive that I want to talk about it. I really want to talk about it.
It feels like every 6 months is a new 10 years with this Mavericks team.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, I was looking at it today. I was like, we went from Dirk and Luka to Luka and Brunson and Dinwiddie, or excuse me, Luka, Brunson, Porzingis, to Luka, Brunson, Dinwiddie, to Lukai, to Kyrie, AD, and now what we're going to talk about, the biggest surprise, the 1.8%, Kyrie, AD, and Cooper Flagg. I mean, I'm still in shock. I think people are honestly underrating how crazy it is that we got Cooper Flagg. I hate the people that are saying it was rigged. I don't think it was rigged whatsoever. I mean, live evidence of it happening.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see why people would say it's rigged, right? Like, we trade away Luka, we get Cooper Flagg. It's like, oh yeah, the NBA and the Mavericks, they had a whole inside deal for ratings or blah blah blah. Like, I see why people think that, but even on my own channel, I was telling people, as long as you have a chance, as long as it's not zero, you can still like it could still happen. There is a very obscure chance of us getting Cooper Flagg, and it actually happened. But regardless if you think it was rigged, regardless if you don't care if it was rigged, Mavericks fans should be happy regardless. We have another player, another cornerstone player for us to root for, to fall in love with and be happy about. No offense to anybody on the team currently, but there really wasn't that, franchise player after we traded away Luka. Of course, AD is great. He would have been our number one option. He is that guy, but that's not a real franchise player for the Mavericks. The way that we're currently constructed, not a franchise player.
Yeah, and especially for Mavs fans that, got to see Dirk as a franchise player and then thought Luka would be a franchise player, bringing in a young player and then transitioning to Kyrie and AD, who are both in their early to mid 30s. It's a different definition of franchise player,
Yeah.
So I totally see what you're saying there. And, I got to ask, I saw the video, but where, do you want to explain to everyone where you were, what the reaction was, and then I'll say mine because I have an interesting one too.
So my roommate is a longtime Mavericks fan, just like I'm a longtime Mavericks fan, but he had to remind me there has never been a moment in franchise history where we moved up in the draft. Don't get your hopes up. Me being one horrible at math and statistics, but also being just overly delusional and optimistic, I was telling him we're either in the bottom four or the top four. To me, that's a 50-50. Don't check the math, but to me, that's 50-50 of being top four, bottom four, right? So before I went live for the lottery, I put on my little Dallas Mavericks basketball shirt. I told my roommate, hey, put on any Mavericks shirt just for good luck. You got to do it. And when I was going live, 14th pick, 13th pick, like, okay, here it comes. Are we going to get it? If we're not the 11th, we're top four. 10th pick, 11th pick, it wasn't us. I was going crazy. I'm like, there's no way. Even then, I did not think we'd get number one. I thought, okay, maybe the 4th pick. That's still fine. Like, I know this is a deep draft. I'm cool with being anywhere in the lottery, but being in the top 4 is a lot better. 4th pick comes around after commercial break. They go to the 4th pick. Not us. It's Charlotte. 3rd pick, it's not us. 2nd pick is San Antonio. So I'm like, there's no way. I was in shock. I was also hysterical because it's like, Adam Silver, thank you so much. It sucks what we had to give up for this, just joking, obviously. But it's just insane. The biggest leap in lottery history, in the Mavericks' first time moving up all in one night, getting Cooper Flagg, getting first of all, the youngest player and also the best player in his own draft after we just got rid of our young, great player. It was like everything hit a reset for me as far as where this team can be long-term.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And honestly, I will say, as a lifelong Mavs fan, someone who was, I'll be honest, I was pretty emotional when Luka was traded. Getting that first overall pick, I'm not going to say fully filled the void. Still hate that Luka's gone, always will. But it gives you some sense of relief that we have a future, that we have the opportunity now to have a franchise player that what we wanted Luka to be with Dirk, how Dirk was here forever. We have that opportunity again. And it's just awesome to see. I was actually, I went to the gym. I went to the steam room. I got back and it was like 7:02 and I'm literally in my underwear only, just the TV on, standing up. I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait till we get to 11, see where we go. Boom. 11 comes by, not the Mavs. Keeps going, commercial break. I'm like, oh my gosh. My girlfriend's standing next to me and she starts videoing me. I didn't know at the time she was videoing me. I'm in my underwear. I'm like, oh my God. And so all of a sudden, Charlotte gets the 4th pick. And I said to her, I was like, we're getting the 1st pick. It just felt like that. It felt like that. I was like, oh my gosh. So, once we got the 1st pick, I was probably screaming for 2 minutes. I'm screaming, jumping, and tweeting at the same time, trying to get the live reaction. But man, it changes the whole trajectory for the team. What his arrival really means to Dallas. I mean, I think honestly, it changes everything to where MFFLs were thinking. I personally was thinking that we were going to go into next season and at the games, there would still be booing. There would still be Fire Nico chants. I'm not saying that it's going to be completely gone with the Fire Nico chants and stuff like that, but I don't think we really hear it that often because I think there's just so much excitement in the city of Dallas, not just the city of Dallas, but for Mavericks fans, that no one's really focused as much on the past anymore. The past, yes, we're not forgiving Nico Harrison. We're not forgiving the front office for the trade that they did. But the fact that you have someone that changes the whole future of the franchise sort of steps over that, and it allows everyone to be excited. And honestly, I mean, we're going into next year. Yes, Kyrie's hurt, but you're going into next year. Postseason time comes around, you're a championship contending team.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's crazy, and just to add to your point, we didn't forget about Luka. We didn't, I'm not going to speak for anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody how to feel, but for me personally, it's like, that still sucks. It's cool that we have the #1 pick. It's cool that we're getting Cooper Flagg and the future looks at least a little bit better, if not a whole lot better. Like, that's amazing. That doesn't really erase what you did. However, for me at least, it's a good distraction. So I don't have to sit here watching a very injured Mavericks team almost having to forfeit games because they can't throw 8 players on the floor. And the only thing going in my mind is this is Nico's fault. This is Nico's fault, right? And I don't want to give him any credit, but one thing that he did say since the trade is true. Winning does kind of fix things. So as long as this team with Cooper Flagg next season has a winning season, right? As long as we're in the playoffs, as long as we do play well and win more games than we lose, right? If we're above 500, that's great. It's if something bad happens, God forbid an injury or we just suck and we just keep losing, then all of that past hurt will come back. And that's unfortunate. However, being positive, being happy that we are in a position that we've never been in as a franchise before. Well, I understand Luka was probably the fact that Luka didn't go #1 is a crime. Should be just throw him in prison. Just throw him in prison, right? That is a crime. I'm not saying that, Cooper Flagg being #1 means he's better than Luka. I'm not saying that, but just the fact that we have a #1 pick, we can have anybody, but we know who we're getting, is a position that we haven't been in as a franchise, and it's great to be in that position now, considering everything that's happened.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I will say this, some people might get annoyed with this comment. Everyone that truly follows my page knows how much I love Luka Doncic. There is a world where Cooper Flagg ends up having a better career than Luka.
Well,
it's way too early to dig into it, but there is. Yeah. I mean,
but I will say this though, he has probably the best start to his career than anybody in his draft class. He's going to a team with Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving. They all have won championships. You're being coached by Jason Kidd. I know a lot of people would see us I know a lot of people would want to see us with a better coach. I get it. But you've got Jason Kidd, who's also won a championship. You'll have access to, Tyson Chandler. You'll have access to other, ex-Mavericks. Maybe Dirk, if he wants to come around. I don't know. I think the front office should try to make amends.
I don't know with the Amazon deal either.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. So he's gonna be busy. But regardless, he has so much around him. Like, he's not going to the Wizards, who have nothing. He's not going to any of these other bottom teams like Portland or Utah, where you're going to go there and they're like, hey, help our team now. You are the team. Do everything right now. No, you're going to a team where you can make all the mistakes you want and it's okay, where you can learn, you can grow. And there's not a lot of pressure on Cooper Flagg because of everything that's around him. It's the absolute best situation. And it reminds me when the Warriors drafted James Wiseman, although he wasn't there long, James Wiseman was drafted to a winning organization. You're around Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. You got Steve Kerr as your coach, all that. In the same vein, Cooper Flagg has the best start to his career than anybody else in his draft class.
I agree with that 100%. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the Mavericks offensive system looks like now with Cooper Flagg in it, especially because, we're without Kyrie Irving, your team's a small forward and power forward offensive dependent team. It's something that we haven't really, outside of Dirk, not really have seen it before like that, where typically the Mavs have a point guard and a forward carrying the flow of the offense. This is going to be something. And I will say this, though. I've listened to plenty of podcasters, especially Tim Legler. Tim Legler even said one of the most outstanding things about his game is his playmaking. So that's going to be really interesting to see. And obviously you have guards that are going to be coming in. I think Brandon Williams, I think he's a stud. I know people still classify him as a G League player. That guy is an NBA player, 1,000%. I love Najee Marshall's facilitating. We'll get into a little bit more that obviously the Mavs are going to be getting a guard this offseason, whether it's trade or free agency. But I think it's really interesting to see what Killa Kid will be doing this upcoming season. People talk about it all the time. Rick Carlisle was very good at coaching teams that had plenty of injuries or just a weak roster. We saw it in Luka's early tenure with the Mavs when they were going to the playoffs, and it was really just Luka with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist or Trey Burke on the floor, guys like that. And then you look at Jason Kidd, though, he is a playoff coach riser. He is. We saw it in the 2022 against the Suns. Those mic'd up moments. We saw it the whole 2024 playoff run where he outcoached everyone except I wouldn't even really say he got outcoached by Missoula in the finals. I really wouldn't say it because I just think players didn't show up in that series. So it's going to be interesting to see, and I do think that it will all work out. But again, this is something that Dallas has never had once Kyrie gets healthy, where you have three offensive creators.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Jason Kidd has a very fun job now because he has so many talented pieces, very versatile pieces. It's not one way he can go about it. There's multiple different ways that he can explore. And we all know Jason Kidd likes to experiment. He likes to try new things. And typically you don't like it, like PJ bringing the ball down. I don't know why we do that. But, going forward, we have the right personnel. And, not saying that just Cooper does this, but but having Cooper does allow you to be a little more creative. To your point, Cooper Flagg's playmaking ability is very good. Shot creation, that needs work, but his playmaking and just ability to handle the ball. And I'm not trying to say his shot creation is horrible because he led his team in the NCAA tournament in points, rebounds, and assists. So obviously, on at least a college level, he knows what he's doing. On the NBA level, I really hope it translates. I've seen people say, let Cooper Flagg play the one. He has the skills. I wouldn't want to put a lot on our rookie right away to hey, you're drafted. You have the whole summer to learn the playbook and everybody else, go be our starting point guard, especially when that's not his natural position. You know what I mean?
It's true. No, it's true 1,000%. And I think you have to get a point guard this offseason. You do.
Yes.
You do. Because, we'll talk about this later on in the episode too, but do we really know what position Cooper Flagg is going to be finishing games at either? Because this whole frustrates me. I haven't spoken about it too much on Twitter, but it frustrates me that Anthony Davis really wants to play the 4 because I think he's so much better at the 5. I think you're asking too much of Lively and Gafford, I don't even know if he'll have that opportunity again to play it with Davis, but it's another thing where we have to see if Cooper Flagg is more comfortable playing the 3 or playing the 4, because if he is more comfortable playing the 4, then you don't need to trade PJ Washington.
Yeah.
You can have a lineup of Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Cooper, and AD to finish games.
Yeah.
And I
really good
I
lineup.
like that more. I like that more. And let's be honest. If you do Kyrie, Clay, Cooper, AD, and Lively versus Kyrie, Clay, Cooper, PJ, AD, I don't see a big difference in defense. I think those are both very insanely defensive dominant lineups. They both would thrive very well. I honestly think AD thrives better defensively at the 5.
I think it's all matchup dependent. But to your point, to close out games, if you put AD at the 5, PJ at the 4, Cooper at the 3, Clay at the 2, like that's a very good lineup to close out games.
And
Because
PJ's better at the 4.
Yeah, exactly. We all know PJ's a better 4 than a 3. But also, one thing that we've seen for the last 2 seasons at least, that either Gafford or Lively get in foul trouble late in the 4th. So if we want to prevent that, or if that does happen, cool. 80 to the 5, PJ to the 4. Everyone just slides down, right? So that's how you kind of fix that problem. But from everything that I've seen, everything I know, obviously we want to go out and get a point guard. Cooper Flagg is in that small forward position. He even said it himself that there's a void at the small forward position. So I'm not sure if he knows that right now PJ is occupying that spot. Not saying he knows anything, but if he is to be a small forward for us, not saying that we can't put him elsewhere, PJ, where does he fit in? To your point, 80 doesn't want to play the 5. He wants to play the 4. You think he's better at it as a 5. Some people say he's better as a 4. But with PJ, also up for an extension. So you're going to ask him possibly take less money because we're about to be in the second apron and then also to come off the bench. That's a hard sell. Even if you can promise a championship, that is a very hard sell. Not saying PJ is selfish, not saying PJ is only money driven, but these are their careers. Why not try to get the most possible? So I get that. It's very, very interesting. If by whatever miracle PJ accepts the right amount of money so we can keep him and any role we ask of him, I'll see y'all in the finals in June next year. We're going to the finals next year. If we can keep PJ on this roster in any capacity, we're going to the finals next year.
I agree. I think you also I think you need PJ in an OKC series.
Yes, the OKC killer. Why would we want to give that up? Why would we want to give that to another team? Like that's ours.
You need him in an OKC series, but we'll get back to that. You know, one thing I wanted to discuss, it's been a hot topic on social media lately. How do you feel about the Mavericks fans that left when Luka got traded and that are now back? Honest opinion, no one's shaming you here.
You know, if you've ever been on my channel, my live streams, my videos, you kind of, and you know who I am or how I am, I'll welcome you with open arms. If you left because you were angry, but now you want to come back, that's cool. Welcome back. We got Cooper Flagg. Things are pretty cool. I understand that you were upset. I understand that Luka was your guy. You wanted to follow your guy. I'm not mad at that. But if you're going to be back, be happy. I don't understand this whole choosing to be upset, choosing to not like what's going on. I've seen, and they could be trolls, they could be fake Mavericks fans for all I know, but at least on Twitter, I've seen some Mavericks fans talk about how, Cooper really isn't all that. And, oh, you forgot about Luka. Oh, like, be happy. If you're going to be on this side, just be happy. Nobody wants to watch a bunch of angry fans. Just be happy. If not, cool. The Lakers could use more fans. Go that way. But if you want to come back to Maverick Nation, to Maverick Land, hey, I'll welcome you with open arms. It's about to be very, very fun.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I understand why people left when Luka got traded, and I understand why you'd want to come back now. I understand the people that are waiting to come back until Nico Harrison gets fired or he's done with the Mavericks as well. I understand if you don't want to come back whatsoever. I totally get all sides to it, but just if you are back, let's be happy. Let's be appreciative for the future that we do have now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk PJ and Gaff.
Man.
I know. You're playing video games with Gaff a few nights ago, and now we got to talk about it. I know. Well, we'll start with Gaff because I do think, and people know this as well, I'm a huge landlord guy. I love him so much. I mean, what he did in that regular season run last year and the playoffs last year was amazing for us. I think he also improved perimeter defense this year as well when he was healthy, which was something that really stood out last season that he wasn't good at. So I think that was a big improvement for him. I love Gaff. I think, honestly, from the very, very, very small sample sizes, and I don't even like saying this because Lively was hurt, I think he was better at playing the 5 with AD on the floor. But at the same time, I think Lively is just, I mean, if we're comparing the two, Lively has a better future ahead of him. The injuries scare me a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just think, I don't think they're going to look to trade Lively this offseason. I would be shocked. But I do think, personal opinion, I'd say there is a 75% chance that Daniel Gafford is not on this roster to start the season.
Really? You think it's Gafford?
So I think PJ loves Dallas so much.
Yes, because he is from the area. He grew up in Frisco, played ball there. So, yes, he's from the area, Gafford. He's from Arkansas, but we can adopt Arkansas for Gafford, right? So, we could say they're both from Dallas. But in my opinion, this may be the way I see things. I don't want any of them gone. I want Gafford and PJ to stay on this roster to start the season, be in roles where they thrive in to help us win games. That's what I want in a perfect world. However, we're in reality. And I feel like if it's going to be anybody, it's probably going to be PJ because of the forward position. But that creates a problem because you have Cooper Flagg coming in as a small forward. His backup can be Najee Marshall. That's no problem, right? AD at the 4, his backup is Omax. Is he ready for it? I know he had an injury to end the season. I'm not worried about his injury. He'll be healthy to start the season.
I think Caleb Martin.
Caleb Martin as your 4? Is Caleb Martin going to be on the roster to start the season? Are we going to trade Caleb Martin for a guard? $9 million, get you Lonzo Ball. I mean, but anyway, it all depends on who's here to start the season. But I think PJ is too good of a player for us to really lose or trade because things are tricky with money in our roster that I don't see how you fix that, by the way. It's a very tricky situation. But with Gafford, the reason why I think Gafford stays is because we went so long without a proper center rotation that you don't want to mess this up. We're seeing in the playoffs where the 2 big man rotations are working. Look at the Thunder in the Nuggets game. You have Jokic, you have Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's been killing it. I know he's hurt right now, questionable for game 7. But Aaron Gordon's been phenomenal. Jokic has had kind of up and down series, but that 2 big man lineup has been working. Look over there in New York. You got Cat and Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, those 2 guys. I think they got Precious Achiuwa or other bigs as well. But it's working, right? Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner. That 2 big man lineup is what's working. Gafford, just like what you said, plays very, very well with AD. We cannot lose that. And if we do, by trading it, okay, we got Lively as our starter. He's young. He's owed an extension about a year or 2. Okay, cool. Who is Lively's backup? Are we going to sign Kai Jones or are we going to keep rocking with Dwight Powell? No disrespect to Dwight Powell, but this is what I'm talking about as far as a good center rotation that we don't want to really mess up, especially if AD won't play the 5. But I don't know. It's so tricky and weird, and I have no idea which direction that we're going to go in. And one thing that I said when we got the number 1 pick is that we have new problems now. If we had the 11th pick, you pick a guard and you move on. You have the number 1 pick, you're getting Cooper Flagg, and now you have to figure out things that you didn't think you had to figure out.
It's good problems to have.
Good problems, but still problems.
Exactly. No, you bring up fair points. I mean, I agree with you because it does get complicated if you do, because, I mean, we obviously know that it's a very high likelihood if you do trade Gafford, you're trading him for a guard. You're not trading him for a forward or a big. So that does go to the point that if you're rocking with the double big lineup, I mean, it's Kai. I love Kai Jones. I thought it was awesome having him on the roster. It's not someone you want in the playoffs getting legit minutes. The thing is that do you look at the situation now or do you look at it in a few years when Lively's eligible for an extension? And I mean, there have been reports that Gafford wants starting money. Tim McMahon said it.
But Gafford said that's cap.
When did he say that?
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, Gafford came out, not like publicly, but in his own Discord server. He addressed it saying that never came out of his mouth and that he doesn't want to start like workplace drama. He doesn't want that around his name. He hates it when they just do that for clicks. Now, I still think there's a little level of truth to it because if you're getting an extension, you want more money, right? But if we take a look at what starting center money looks like, you can look at the top 10, 15 centers. They're making anywhere between high 30s to like low 50s per year. I don't think Gafford's about to get 30 million per year, but you could get somewhat close to it, probably 20, 25 million a year. I think that's totally fine. I think Gafford is deserving of a good extension. Don't get me wrong. He is amazing. You got teams like the Lakers who believe that they can easily get Gafford. So it's like, yeah, pay the man. He's wanted by half the league. I mean, I also saw the Warriors also want a center. So the commodity of Daniel Gafford only grows as the league finds out what teams are lacking. If they're lacking a center, Gafford's value goes up and you got to pay the man. But if he's not trying to make a big deal about contract extensions, that should be easy. That should be something that they've already discussed. They can take care of it. No problem. But it's PJ. And like you said, he loves it here. Yeah. I also saw a lot of the fans turn on him when he defended Nico, which I don't think he was, me personally. I just think he was frustrated, right? He was focused on the game, but the fans weren't focused on the game. So I think that's where that came from. So I've seen a lot of animosity towards PJ from fans. I think it's very weird. I'm not sure how he feels. Maybe he does want to leave. Who knows, right? But it's a weird situation. We need a guard, or we just trust Brandon Williams. That's also an option. You got Jaden Hardy still. Whatever you're going to do with that. But there's Brandon Williams, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dante. We got options, but an upgrade would be nice.
Yep. I mean, we did hear from Shams yesterday or 2 days ago that he did say the Mavs are looking for a guard. Yep. I do need to join Gav's Discord, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Yeah, send me a link. No, it's, I mean, that is good to hear that didn't fully come out of his mouth. Pause. Yeah, massive pause. Time. But, you know, I would love to see Gaff on the roster. If the thing is, though, do we trust Schroeder on a vet minimum or something like that to really carry this team guard load wise? I rather, people haven't been on high on this player as much as I have been. I would do anything to get Collin Sexton in the Mavericks jersey. I think he fits everything. He averaged 4 assists. He averaged 18 points. He shot 40% from 3. And he guards. Yeah. So the thing is that people were talking about Kyrie and Coby White. Coby White isn't, in my opinion, an insane defender. But the thing is that you don't have to think about, at the same time, you don't have to think about guard defense as much when you have Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, all those guys. So it's like we said, it's a good problem to have, but it is still a problem that needs to get solved. I personally, look, people will get annoyed with this.
Oh.
Outside of the Luka trade, was Nico that bad trade and signing wise? I mean, the only other thing you could really get annoyed about was the Kuzma, wanting to trade for Kuzma. Yeah. Okay, but you had an offseason of pulling in Klay Thompson, Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall. He's made good moves.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should sit here and say we shouldn't trust Nico this offseason. I think Nico is going to make the proper moves necessary. I think that if PJ or Gafford get traded, there's going to be people that are annoyed next season when they put up good stat lines, because if they do leave, they're going to do phenomenal wherever they are at.
It happens every time. Quentin Grimes was on the heater after we traded him. I hate seeing that.
But I saw some stuff. The contract, it would have been some contract issues if we kept Grimes and he had gone an extension since we got Flagg. So blessing in disguise there. But man, who has higher value, do you think, PJ or Gaff?
I think Gafford does. It's weird because it also depends on the team, like across the league, and team to team. Like, what do you need? Teams like the Lakers, teams like the Lakers and the Warriors would probably value Gafford over PJ.
I don't think Gafford's gonna move to the Lakers. I don't think
we do another deal with the Lakers. I don't think Patrick Dumont will allow Nico Harrison to have Rob Pelinka's phone number saved in his phone. I think that's no. But teams like the Lakers do covet Gafford more than PJ because they got Rui Hachimura, they got Vando, so their forward spot they could upgrade from it, for sure. I think PJ is better than Vando at least, but they look at their center position as a big gap because they've got Alex Len, Maxi Kleba. They adopted our problem of the 5, and there you go, right? And then you got the Warriors, who said that they want a playmaking defensive wing, which sounds like a Najee Marshall, or they want a center, Daniel Gafford, right? It's all about what teams need and what teams want. But then if you have a playoff team, like let's say the Rockets, they could value PJ in case they see OKC. Like, hey, let's get PJ. He always plays well against the Thunder. If we want to make another push next year, we could use someone like that to help us out. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, maybe he can play with Anfernee Simons on the floor together, little duo, right? So it all depends on what teams want and what they need. I would argue that Gafford probably has more value only because his being that good at his position and not being on a overly priced contract is a blessing to a lot of teams that would love to get him. That's where I see that. But with the Mavericks, who do we value more? I can't call it. I value them both the same. I can't tell you who I want more than the other. I don't want either of them gone. This is a weird situation.
It's a good problem, but it's a problem.
It's a problem.
I have seen the PJ mock trades with Drew Holiday.
And I like Drew Holiday.
But that's just another the guy's getting hurt too.
And he's another year older. He's another year older. Can we get younger? I mean, you mentioned Dennis Schroeder, which you wouldn't have to trade for him. You just signed for him, right? He's unrestricted, right? Or restricted?
Collin Sexton's 26.
Collin Sexton, he's younger. He has a high motor. He always puts in effort. I think he would work. And he's also around other players that, I'm not saying that he's still developing, but he could still develop, right? He could still get better playing alongside Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, having access to great players does rub off on other players. Like, that's just a fact. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind Collin Sexton. He can get his own bucket, plays with a lot of heart, a lot of drive. He doesn't give up. He hustles hard. That's something that we definitely need because our new motto is defense wins championships. And until we win a championship, that's just all it is. It's just a motto. It's not true or anything, but it's tough. It's definitely tough. I mean, there's also Lonzo Ball injured for 2 full years, injured this year. So it's like $10 million a year is pretty cheap for someone to just be a backup, because that's another thing too, Mason, we got to talk about. If we get a guard, they have to also be okay with taking a back seat once when Kyrie comes back. And if you go out and get a Collin Sexton or a Coby White, those players may not be okay with just taking a back seat, playing less minutes, who would then have to share with Brandon Williams, because we still have Brandon Williams. See?
I would say, though, that if you do get that high tier level of a guard, Brandon Williams becomes a trade asset. Love B-Well. But
injuries, what if we have injuries?
No, it's true. I mean, you definitely have to take that into account with this team.
Trade Jaden Hardy.
Yeah, no, I think there's a 5% chance Hardy's in a Maverick jersey.
Yeah.
And I forget who tweeted it, but if Hardy gets traded, Derek Lively goes to 1, Cooper Flagg wears number 2. But I like the 32.
I like 32 too, yeah, because that was his high school number?
Yeah.
Yeah.
NAU, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It is frustrating, but I do want to show you something real quick. I'm pulling it up right now. I want to see if you would do this mock trade for a player that we haven't mentioned yet. I've mentioned it on the Twitter. I know you see my feed, so you might have seen it. Mock trade. The Portland Trailblazers receive Daniel Gafford, Caleb Martin, Dwight Powell.
Oh, man.
And the Mavericks 2029 first-round pick. The Dallas Mavericks receive Anfernee Simons, the Portland Trailblazers 26, 27, 29, and 2030 second-round picks.
So, hold on. I'm giving up Caleb Martin, Gafford, and Dwight Powell?
And a first-rounder.
Well, the first rounder, hold on. Let's break down why I hate this, right? I'm giving up Dwight Powell and Daniel Gafford, so that means my centers are Lively and Kai Jones, I'm assuming.
I mean, I think they would make another trade for a center if that happens.
But if we already have a center, why make a trade for a center?
No.
We have Daniel Gafford and Dwight Powell. Why move them? And you're getting rid of what you need and then going to find the same need that you just got rid of. But let's break this down.
Similar in the way of trading Markieff and Maxey and then pulling in Caleb Martin, though. Because Maxey was a
2 for 1, though. That's 2 for 1. But just to break this trade down further, if I'm getting just Anfernee Simons and a bunch of second-round picks, I'm looking at Portland like, you got to give me one more player. I need like somebody. I'm giving you Martin, Gafford, Dwight Powell, three for. I need one more player. I'm not sure who. I know they got the one player. Tumari?
Oh yeah, he's not getting traded. Kamara.
Yeah, he's not. But I would definitely like him in a Mavericks jersey. He is good. He's good. But yeah, he's not getting traded. But I would say no. Because, I mean, first you said Gafford. The moment you said Gafford, I'm like, man, I'm not going to do this. I can't. And there's a lot of people online. I've seen them on Twitter that they throw Gafford a lot of mock trades. I'm like, I'm not entertaining nothing that sends Gafford away. I remember those days where our starting center was Dwight Powell or Boban Marjanovic. And I love Boban. Don't get me wrong. I miss him. But I remember the days of just not having good paint presence. And then magically in the last 2 seasons, we have some of the best paint presence. And I don't want to give up that. I don't want to compromise that. That's one area in the NBA that not many teams have. So if you have it, hold on to it. So no trade, no deal.
Okay, here's another Simons trade. This one was on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I don't think it would happen is it involves the Lakers. Mm-hmm. This one, Dallas Mavericks received Anfernee Simons. The Lakers received Daniel Gafford. The Portland Trail Blazers received Maxi Kleber, Caleb Martin, Dalton Knecht, Dwight Powell. Lakers unprotected 2029 from the Mavs, or the Mavs 2029 from the Lakers. The 2031 first-round pick and 2030 swap rights with the Lakers. I honestly like the other one more.
So, well, yeah, I like the other one more because I don't want to give the Lakers anything. I don't even want to give the Lakers Dwight Powell. I don't want to give them nothing. But in this same trade, I'm giving up Dwight Powell, Daniel Gafford, and Caleb Martin. I'm only getting back Anfernee Simons and a bunch of picks.
I mean, Anfernee Simons is a good player. I mean, the contract's a little.
Then have to go to the bench when Kyrie comes back.
But the thing is that we've seen Jason Kidd not have Klay Thompson on the court to close games sometimes.
That's true.
And Simons is a good shooter.
Yes, and I know the few games we played against Portland last year where he was just lights out. Him and Sharp couldn't miss. It was very frustrating, and I get that. I'm not comfortable not having Gafford because, and maybe this is just backwards thinking or it's a small sample size, but when we didn't have Lively, Gafford was a godsend. And I want to believe the reason why he got hurt was he had to play more minutes. His backup was Dwight Powell, who would only come out for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes a game. So I got to rock with what's been working for me. I can't get rid of what I've depended on because going forward, I won't have it to depend on. I depend on Gav, the landlord, who's collecting rent. People out here living foul, not paying rent. Nah, got to pay the man.
That's true. It's true.
It's a tough situation. And I think the best route to go is to avoid trading. The conversations with PJ and his agents are between him and Nico Harrison as far as what does his extension look like and how does that affect his minutes? If you give him less minutes, are you going to pay him less? Or are you going to pay him more and give him less minutes? It's going to be that type of conversation. But as far as the point guard, I would love to sign a point guard and not have to trade for a point guard. I truly do feel like any trade that involves us getting a point guard is going to create another problem. You traded away Gafford in both those scenarios, and now you only have Lively and Dwight Powell as your center. Are you going to go out and sign Kai Jones? Are you going to make another trade for another center? How many times are we going in a circle trying to fix the same problem we just created?
I think, okay, so let's say we're in an alternate universe right now.
All right, cool. Alternate universe.
Say Nico wants to trade Gafford. You know what I think happens before he makes a call to trade Gafford? I think he has a sit-down conversation with Anthony Davis.
Yes.
I think he asks him, are you comfortable with, some games, I'm not saying all the time, but some games where you're mainly playing the 5. There will be streaks of you playing the 4, sometimes with Lively, but are you comfortable playing the 5 here. If not, we won't do the deal. If you're cool with that, we'll do the deal.
Well, in this alternate universe, we must remember, in LA, AD said, we need a center.
I know.
And then he got traded.
Nico, you think Nico's trading Anthony Davis?
No, but asking AD, hey, are you cool playing the 5? I know you didn't like to do it in LA. I know you didn't like to do it in New Orleans, but you want to do it in Dallas. That would be very counterproductive to trade for him and then put him in the same position that he didn't enjoy in his last 2 teams, right? That's why this is such a difficult situation, but why I believe we need to keep Gafford by any means necessary. Because to your point, 80 at the 5, short spurts, sure, maybe for a quarter, half a quarter, totally fine. He may have to do that. For a full game, half a game, how long does that last until he's fed up with it or something worse happens?
No, it's
God forbid.
It's true, man. No.
Yeah, I fired up my 2K. I hopped up in my GM and I was scratching my head too. Like, how do I make this work? I got the contracts. Okay, we're money strapped. Okay, we get Cooper Flagg. We're in the second apron. What happens now? Not to give Nico credit, but the only thing that he did see ahead of time was Quentin Grimes. That's the only thing that he saw coming, and I'm honestly, I hate it that he's gone because I thought he was a great player. I thought he was a Maverick. He definitely fit the team, but he is going to earn himself a contract, something we cannot afford.
He's getting a bag.
Yeah, we can't afford that, and I don't think he takes a discount to then probably be moved down the totem pole because Cooper Flagg's here, and then whatever that situation would look like. But yeah, I've tried to make it work, and it's very weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be interesting free agency, but it's going to take just every ounce of brain power from our front office to not screw this up. And I said earlier, the best case scenario is PJ accepts an extension for however much we can afford, and he's okay with possibly being a backup. I can see some nights he starts, some nights he, Cooper plays for the first 3 minutes and we throw PJ in or something, something like that. They share it. I don't know. But I think it's fair to say that almost every Mavericks fan understands that Cooper is a starter. Number 1 pick of that caliber. You don't just put him to the bench. And then a question I want to ask you is, with the way this team is currently constructed, does Cooper Flagg have the ability and does he have the opportunity to become Rookie of the Year?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm sort of shocked I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Opportunity, 1,000%. It's Cooper Flagg. You can't underestimate that. But at the same time, this is the most stacked draft class we've seen in a pretty long time. That there are going to be guys. Look, like we're like, it's so crazy, man. Because you're looking at Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper as the 2 pure studs out of this draft class, and they're both going. I mean, I'm calling San Antonio playoff team easily now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the West is so stacked.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
They need the expansion ASAP.
They definitely do.
LeBron needs to retire. They need to make their Vegas team.
Bro.
Also, Mavs fans, please unfollow me if you think this team is going to Vegas. Please.
We're not going to Vegas. They want to put a resort in Dallas. And for anybody watching this, I would love you to Google, where are the Vegas Sands property located? They're not in Vegas. They don't have this property in Vegas. There's no Vegas Sands in Vegas. There's one in Singapore. Are we about to be the Singapore Mavericks? Have to catch a red eye every day to go to games. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, we're not going to Vegas. Even if we didn't get Cooper Flagg, we're not going to Vegas. And I haven't really spoken about this enough on my channel, so I'm gonna speak on this really quick. What would make you more money, moving to Vegas with Luka or without Luka? Where's the draw? Where's your main attraction? I love Kyrie. I love AD. Great players. Not the same as Luka Doncic. We saw what happened when Luka went to LA. Number 1 jersey. The number 1 jersey sold. Ratings through the roof. Like, that's money. That's big time. Go to Vegas, where, first of all, they're not even they're not even top 10 media market. Dallas is. So, yeah, keeping the team here makes you more money than going to Vegas, where what? Nothing. Yeah, they got teams there. They got a baseball team, football team, cool. But we at the time we didn't have the main attraction. Now we got Cooper Flagg. Hey, maybe.
Oh
maybe
man,
the expansion will happen. We'll go to Seattle. Maybe we'll be the Seattle Mavericks.
I do hope Seattle gets the team back.
I do too. Yeah, Supersonics would be dope. I think every basketball fan wants that to happen.
One of my first jerseys I ever got was KD Supersonics jersey.
Classic.
Right?
I think growing up, I had a Sean Kemp Supersonics jersey.
Yeah, you're Unk.
Yeah, I am. You're
Unk, bro.
Showing my age. I'm showing my age.
I just turned 23, man. Yeah.
I remember when I was 23.
You might be grandpa then, bro.
All right. So with Cooper Flagg, it obviously does two things. And it's something that I think the front office and the coaching staff have to manage correctly. One, our championship window is still open. Not saying that Cooper Flagg will win the next 5 straight championships, but he is in a great position to win a championship. I would argue he has a better chance than any other player to impact a winning championship right away. That's one. But two, you have to make sure that you have assets and or young players for when Kyrie, Clay, and AD retire, and you truly give everything to Cooper Flagg. Does he have the pieces around him, or is this going to look like when Luka Doncic was a rookie? You gave him everything, but when he looked around, he really had nothing. That's why it's important to keep PJ and or Gafford or both. It's important to keep players that are relatively young, like Lively. So whenever the older players retire, Cooper Flagg's not standing around with a bunch of old players, one and done contract, vet minimum contract guys, and worried about how am I going to compete with all of this? We ain't got nothing. It's a twofold thing of preparing for the future and preparing for now that they got to figure out how they manage. It's going to be tough. It's not easy. Getting the number 1 pick creates so many problems that you didn't know you had.
I think this is going to be like a massive step-by-step process for the Mavs.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing, obviously, you're going to have to see is, okay, let's figure out the rotation first and see, which is going to be happening as we speak. They're playing that kind of stuff out right now. Yep. See what PJ's minutes would look like. Go to PJ. By the way, Knicks just beat the Celtics.
Knicks to the conference finals.
Knicks Pacers conference finals.
I'm rooting for Rick Carlisle.
Jaylen Brown fouled out in the third quarter.
Wait, whoa! He fouled in the third quarter?
Yeah, maybe it was payback for giving Jalen Brunson 5 fouls in one quarter.
Yeah, that was stupid. But also, I've seen many times where, not every time, but a few times, if Jaylen Brown doesn't have Tatum out there and he feels like he's doing everything and it's not working, he gets frustrated. He starts making mistakes and they look like they're intentional. Like, what are you doing?
Did you not hear the rumors? Cooper Flagg, met with the Celtics at the Combine, and maybe Jaylen Brown's going to be a
No, they're trading Tatum. Tatum's coming to Dallas because we only get injured players. Duh.
When are we going to see him? 2027?
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Why was it this the Celtics team we saw last year?
Yeah, I know. But we look at the PJ situation. I think you have to figure out the rotation first, and then you have to see, is he comfortable, not closing out every single game?
Yeah.
And then I think you go from there. And if he is comfortable with that, I do see a world where the Mavs play it safe. They get a guard like a Schroeder on the vet minimum. And then you see the first few months, say by December, it's working out well. Schroeder's doing a good job as point guard. Brandon Williams is still able to hold his ground. I do see a world where Spencer Dinwiddie's on this roster next year. I really do. I think, yes, it was annoying watching him at some points. This guy played the most minutes for the Mavericks. And for a guy that was on a vet minimum deal, exceeded expectations. I was very frustrated with this play at some points. But this was supposed to be the 13th, 14th guy on the roster when the year started. He was starting games. He was closing games. He was taking game-tying shots. I mean, I do see a world. I would prefer Dante for sure. I think he's way better at initiating offense. I think he's a better defender. But I think that if the Mavs were willing or wanting to play it safe and get Schroeder on a vet minimum or something like that and see how it works out, especially because, like we said, Flagg can also create his own shot. He can create for others, see how it's going, and say, okay, he's doing well. We don't need to make a trade. But say this Schroeder thing's not working out. You need a guard desperately, and this is November, December time. Hey, we got to trade PJ. We got to trade Gaff. One of them. So I think I wouldn't be mad at that scenario. If they keep PJ and Gafford this offseason and they try to play it safe with the guard situation and then go in later into the season, I don't think this is going to be like the classic Mavericks trade deadline where, a few days before the deadline is where they make the trade. If this isn't working out, it's going to be a December, January trade.
No, I definitely agree. I think if, just like you said, if nothing really happens, if we play it safe, but we find out immediately that this is not working, obviously give it time. You don't want to just base it off of like 4 or 5 games.
Is that what you would rather? Play it safe like that?
Yes, I very much would rather play it safe. Keep Gafford and PJ. You sign Schroeder or any other guard to a vet minimum. I've heard Chris Paul's name being thrown around, but you find a guard for a vet minimum. As far as Dante or Dinwiddie, I lean more towards Dinwiddie, like you said. For the money that you spend on Dinwiddie, you're getting way more in return. There are headaches with it, but you just said he played the most minutes. He was available. You got to take the good with the bad. The thing is about Dante, when he's hurt, right? When he's hurt, he is hurt. And I do love his defense. I love his poise. He hit big shots for us, the season prior. So I know what I'm getting with Dante. But the problem is I don't know when he's available. Your availability is your best ability. But we play it safe. And if by late December, early January, if we're not seeing this working, make the trade that you need to make. We cannot risk having another season like we just had where we're losing games, we're getting hurt, things are falling apart, and we don't know how to fix it. Because I felt like at times we didn't know how to fix it, especially when you only have 7 available players. How do you fix that?
I agree. I think I truly think this whole thing is going to be up to PJ Washington and his agent.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, we did see the tweet immediately when we got the first pick, PJ with the eyes emojis. That was a good sign. I mean, usually some players would be a little frustrated with that kind of situation. But look, I do know I follow PJ on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Guy loves his money for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he's a family man. He's got kids. He's married. He takes care of them. So you gotta make sure the money's right. We all know. Him and Anthony Edwards, they got similar responsibilities.
He takes care of them.
But it's so weird because he's from the area. I'd argue that he does still want to be here, and I really hope the fans didn't turn him off to Dallas. I mean, I got his poster, him standing on business from last season, right?
Yeah, I was at that game actually.
Yeah,
I would be so upset. I would honestly the way Luka got traded obviously is worse, but I would feel that kind of way if PJ got traded just because of the impact he made so quickly.
Yeah,
in Dallas.
Right away, dude, you're a Maverick. Same with when PJ.
It felt like he got drafted here.
Boom! It felt like he got drafted here. The fact that you're here for from the trade deadline to the playoffs, you're only here for a few months, but you're a Maverick. You're staying on business. You're having moments. You're killing the Thunder. You're helping us out against the Timberwolves. You had a great start to this season, and it feels like he's a part of the team. And he is a part of the team, but it feels like he's been a part of the team. And in the same vein of trading away Luka, you trade away PJ. It's we have a team of guys that I don't recognize. We have this weird issue of a turnstile of players. You're here for a year or two, then you're gone. You're here for a year or two, then you're gone.
It's the Nico effect. He's obsessed with trades.
He really is. And at first, you think that he's just trying to correct mistakes and clean it up. And then he keeps doing it. You're like, okay, stop, slow down. You don't need to do anything else. You got PJ and Gafford who will keep them. Don't shop them. Don't try to trade them unless you feel like you really need to. But we traded away Tim Hardaway Jr. for Quentin Grimes, and in less than a full year, we traded away Quentin Grimes. So it's man, we went from Tim Hardaway Jr. to Caleb Martin. I feel like that's a lateral move. That might be a negative move, but it feels like a lateral move.
The analogy I've given about Nico Harrison is when you go to the casino with a group of buddies, and say you put $200 in and you're up $1,000.
Yeah.
Instead of just cashing out, you just keep going for some apparent reason.
Yep.
And he's had the recipe, but he keeps wanting to change the recipe for worse or for better. And we'll see what he does. We will see what he does. But, man, this was an awesome episode. I really appreciate you coming on, man. It's going to be interesting to see what the Mavericks plan to do this offseason. For sure, plan and hope to have you on very soon in the future as well. So we'll definitely run it back. But appreciate you coming on, my guy.
Hey, man, I appreciate you inviting me. And yeah, anytime you want me on, I'll gladly hop on, talk some Mavericks basketball, complain about whatever it is Nico just did or whatever Spencer Dinwiddie might have done. Yeah, I'm totally down.
And I know you're big time on YouTube, but give the page a shout out so everyone knows where they can find you.
Hey, man, check me out at Mavericks Digest. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. It changes everything. I'm telling you.
Yep, for sure. Guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Welcome to season 3. This is going to be the best one yet. Love you all, MFFL Nation.